Hi and welcome to the next episode in my Citroen Relay van build series. In this video, I'm in the back of the van. It seems like ages we've been spending faffing around in the front, but we moved to the back. And prior to making the bed frames and getting that finished off, I need to finish my little cupboard. Let me show you. Right, to get our bearings in the back of the van here, there's the shower cubicle, and there's the fridge and the kitchen and everything I've been building before. So up the side of the bed frames, which are the older Scorvers, which are going in here, I got space for a tiddly little cupboard in here. It's not going to be wider than, you know, half a dozen shirts at the most, but you know, seeing I've got a little bit of space, I might as well make use of it. Hey, so I've just been preparing my template here to cut the piece of furniture board. I've run out of whole pieces of template material, so I've had to kind of screw three different various bits of plywood together. But so it's a bit Heath Robinson, but I'm sure it will be all right. So I've already prescribed my line round here using that fellow there. Oh dear, the pencils seen better days now. Look, but it still worked. If you haven't done scribing before, then it's fairly straightforward actually. What you do is you obviously make sure you're flat and level at the bottom, and vertically the board is coming up vertical with your reference point, which in this case is the aluminium trim on the side of the shower. As you can see there, we're just about in line with that. And then you find your widest point, where the widest gap is, which in this case is here, and you set your pencil so it's just touching the wood, and then you work your way up, keeping the scribe horizontal, marking the board, and from that point you can work your way down, and then you should end up with a pencil line, and then you can do that all the way to the top. It's difficult with this type of scribe to scribe in around these things, because the point sort of doesn't ride up that bit sort of terribly well. So what I've done with that is basically just sort of used my eye and come across and mark the points just visually with my eye to get a flavour for where that's going to go. And I'm going to cut on the outside of that line all the way up, so that can still then be trimmed and manipulated afterwards if necessary. I'm not too worried about the depth of it here, because that's actually slightly wider than my piece of furniture board. But my piece of furniture board is 70 centimeters. So basically I've taken my my measurements from 70 centimeters from that point across, and that's going to be the front. So basically at that point I don't want to cut anything off the furniture board essentially, and then we should be a-okay at the front here, going up nice and vertical, if that kind of makes sense. So let me get this outside and razor the jigsaw through that one. Okay, so I'm just going to do a rough cut first of all for now, and stay sort of just outside the line, and then we can you know, tease this in with shaving a little bit more here and there if we need to, until we get a good fit. So one jigsaw and off we go. Okay, well, not looking too bad. Just need to make a few adjustments. So I'll carry on with my fine tuning of the scribing, and I'll come back to you when it's fully scribed and in position, so to speak.
3 hours later.
And actually, there's my pieces of furniture board there. Look, do excuse the mess in the garage, you know, work in progress and all that. And it's in two bits. The reason for that is I actually run out of furniture board before realizing I need this extra piece in the van for that wardrobe. So I needed another bit, which was a bit of a pain in the backside. So I contacted Moreland, and they said, oh, happy to supply you with one piece, of course, but the only trouble is we won't deliver that because delivery is very, very expensive and blah blah blah. You'll have to pick it up. Well, they're in North Wales, so depending on where you live in the country, that may or may not be very convenient. So I found an alternative supplier, which is a company called Midland Leisure Supplies. Spoke to a very nice chap there called David, and he keeps Moreland furniture board in stock there. And he said, yeah, no problem, I can sell you one piece. You are going to have to collect it, though, because delivery is very expensive, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, whereabouts are you? So he said, oh, we're just outside Birmingham in Tamworth. So I thought, oh, okay, well, from where I am in Wiltshire, that's considerably better than North Wales. So took a trip to Midland Leisure Supplies in Tamworth and picked up a piece of furniture board and actually got it in my car, because what I did is I took my jigsaw with me, and he's very happy for me to just sort of cock myself up outside in the car park on a couple of little sort of trestles and chop it in half at the prescribed dimensions that I wanted, so I could then fit it in the car, which was quite nice. And what I've ended up with those bits is what you just saw in the garage. Let's have another look, which is the top piece is the bit we're going to be doing in a minute for the wardrobe, and then this bit here was the other half of it. And the bit that's now missing off the end of that half is that bit there, because I didn't have enough of that either. So we're making good use of sort of 2/3 of this piece of furniture board. Right, anyway, enough flapping me lips and let's crack on. Right, okay, so I finished my fine-tuning of the piece of board. And I've put some blue masking tape down, and I've traced around the outside, and so there's nothing else for it but to give it a cut, really, and well, yeah, hope for the best. You know, it's one of those things again, isn't it, like with the shower and actually everything else with this furniture board. You hope and pray you got your measurements right, otherwise it's another trip to Tamworth and another 150 quid spent. But fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Right, let's get the jigsaw out and plunge in. Right, there we go. It's look, I've got all the lights on. It's actually getting pretty dark now, so I'm gonna have to carry on with this tomorrow. But just before I wrap up and tidy up for the day, let's have a look. Oh, actually not too bad, really. I think we'll live with that. That's a nice line up through there, nice and tight along the top to the ceiling, and down through here. This was the bit I was wanted to get right, and I'm happy with that, because of course this is where your head is going to be in the bed. So I wanted to make sure I got a decent line there, which I have, and down through there. That's all right. Water pipe just tucks through a little notch there, and actually around the wheel arch, that was more luck than judgment, to be honest. You know, that was just a rough cut, really, because you know, this is buried in the garage at the back down here, so you know that wasn't too much of a thing that was going to particularly be noticed. But hey, got away with it, so that's all good. Right, let's wrap that up there, and we will carry on in the morning, which for me is quite a few hours away. For you will be right now. Good morning. Right, we can see what we're doing again, can't we? So let's crack on with this bit. So what I've done is I've taken all that plastic covering off there, so I can sort of see what I'm doing. Now, as well as being a little thin cupboard to hang a few clothes in and bits and bobs, I also want it to house the ladder to get to the top bunk of our bed configuration. So what I'm going to do is basically pop a little shelf in above here to make use of the space above for something, and then put a little sort of wardrobe rail in as well, so some clothes can be hung sort of down the side of the ladder. Not going to get a lot in there, obviously, but you know, a few shirts, and some is better than none at the end of the day. So that's what we're going to do. So let me mark and measure up where I'm going to put this shelf in and those sort of things, and then get this back outside on the table and carry on preparing it to be fitted. Right, look at this, I'm getting better. I'm not just drawing all over everything in pen like I was earlier on in the build. So there's my my ladder. Let me just pull it forward a little bit. So stick a piece of the old blue masking tape above there, and just consider where I want my the bottom of my shelf to be. So I want to be able to comfortably get this in and out without it being too tight. So I think I'm going to go actually I'm going to give myself plenty, I think, so I'm going to go up here. So I'm just going to draw a little line there, and then once this is out of the way, I can measure from the floor up and get a proper line across, and then of course put that measurement on this board as well from the bottom, and then in theory the shelf should then be square and level, he says, because of course these brackets are going to need to be fitted both sides before this is put in, because there's no way you can sort of get in there to screw sideways. I can screw from underneath to fix the bracket with the drill, fix the shelf to the brackets, but I can't screw sideways at all because of the width of the cupboard. So anything that's going on the sides needs to be attached before we actually fit the panel into place. So you know, it seems nice and simple, doesn't it? Oh, let's just fit that panel, but no, I think that's going to be a bit of a pig, which is going to probably take me most of the day. But anyway, let's crack on. Right, so the next thing I'm doing is I've just put my two Scorver beams in, which is the where the bed frames are going to sit on, so I can get this pushed back against the beam, so I know what my measurement there is, so I can cut the door to the correct size. So I got 14 centimeters, which is what I was anticipating. Now, so to allow for the hinge and things to go in there, I'm going to cut my my door piece at 13.5 centimeters. Another little job that's presented itself. Now I've come back that far, which is actually a smidge further than what I thought earlier when I just offered it in, you know, by hand. Is I'm a little bit tight on the wheel arch there at the top, so I've got a gap now at the back here. So anyway, no dramas. All I need to do when I take this piece of wood out in a minute is to shave a bit more off the top there, so it slides in across the top of the wheel arch better. But that's fine, that's not a problem. That doesn't affect anything going on here, and it doesn't affect any of this, because of course I'm not changing the height, I'm just lobbing a bit there so it will push back in better. So I think what I'm going to do now is before I take this out, so I don't keep taking these Scorver beams in and out, in and out, in and out all day, I'm going to cut this door and offer that in and make sure I'm happy with that, and then I can take the Scorver beams out, this bit out, and everything out all in one go, and get everything sort of fixed before I put it all back together again. Or well, that's the plan anyway. Right, here's my piece that I'm using for the door. Now this is providing for one of those real challenging bits, which is it sounds simple, doesn't it? But if you're new to van building, you'll think, well, what's the fuss about? But when you've been doing it a little bit, you know what a pain this is. I need to cut a straight line all the way down there, as in perfectly straight, at a 90-degree angle to the ends, which is easier said than done. Right, so first things first, using my big square, I'm checking that this piece of wood is actually square on the bottom, which it is. I'm happy with that. Always check both ways. Yeah, and I'm also going to check the other end. This end is square, that end isn't quite. So what I'm going to do is this is slightly longer than what I need, so I'm going to make a point with a little bit of tape to remind me. When I cut it to length, I'm going to cut that end off, not this end, because this end is already square. So I've got a piece of blue masking tape down, and I've got a factory edge here. which is not, you can just feel the laminate sticking out a bit, so this isn't ideal for putting that iron edge trim on. So I've got plenty of width. I've got 20 and I only need 13.5. So what I'm going to do is just take well, I don't need to take much off. I'm going to go with 1 centimetre. I'm going to take 1 centimetre off this all the way down, so I'm going to mark it in various. Now when I'm cutting this off, of course it doesn't need to be precisely 1 centimetre, because I've still got to trim the other end to get it to my 13.5 anyway, because this end is a little bit of a rough cut, so I still want to trim this side as well. So I'm just going to set my guide rail up with these lines so I can just see the lines. So in actual fact that's going to cut just a smidge under 1 centimetre, but that's all right, that doesn't matter as long as I keep the same all the way down. Obviously it's going to be all good. Right, so I can see my lines. And why is it as well, just a little grump, when you buy these plunge saws, they're fantastic because they come with this rail which keeps the saw nice and straight, but why is it they only come with about 1.4 meters of rail when sheet material comes in 2.4 meter lengths? Am I missing something there? I don't know. Anyway. Right, now I got my length cut. I've measured to the bit I need to cut off. Just used a square to draw a line across there, and now we just need to cut it to length. I have to say I've taken some measurements along that, and even using a rail and a plunge saw, I'm still along the way just the odd sort of millimetre or half a millimetre out, you know, all the way down. So even these rail things are far from perfect. So cutting a straight line sounds easy, doesn't it? But it proves to be a pain in the backside. But anyway, you know, it won't notice. I'm sure it'll be fine. So this little short bit I'm just going to cut with a jigsaw, I think, because this is going to be at the floor at the bottom. So you know, nowhere near so critical there. Oh, and obviously if you're just starting out on your van build and you're new to all this, you know, without telling anybody how to suck eggs for 1 second, because, you know, everyone is very, very capable, but these long lengths, don't use a jigsaw for that, because unless you've got the most amazing hand-eye coordination and steady hand, you'll end up with an edge that looks like a relief map of the Himalayas. So don't even try it. Don't even try it. But it works perfectly for the little short bits, so that's all good. Right, next job is get some trim on this. Right, this is how I'm doing my iron-on edging. As you can see here, I've ironed on my trim, and I've got some excess lippage either side. So what I'm going to do first is just run the Stanley blade along and get the bulk of that off first of all. Right, there it is. and they're what I'm using. And oh, incidentally, I don't necessarily recommend anybody copy this or do this or use this, because this is just a method I found, and it's not really the correct way, because there are specialist tools for doing this that you can buy, but I'm a tight ass and I didn't want to buy one, so I'm using this, which is called a Surform, which is a woodworking tool. They're only a few quid in the DIY stores, and it's got a serrated bottom, a bit like a cheese grater, really, for want of a better description. But I found this actually is doing a cracking job of just tidying up this lip. So what I'm doing is I'll just do a bit in the middle here. So I don't go at an angle like that, because you'll take away too much of the trim and you'll see the plywood underneath. So I'm going that way, so it's level with the board. And as long as you don't push too hard, you're not going to scratch your furniture board. And just offer this backwards and forwards, and it's just going to start taking away that excess lip. And then to start with, there's quite a bit of resistance there, because of course it's cutting into the edging, which is what we want. But then when the resistance goes and you end up with that, what you're left with actually is a really nice edge. So that's doing the job brilliantly. So that's what I'm using, a Surform. Okay, so I've got my door just put to one side now, and I've got the main panel back out. And so what I've just done is I've gone around and pocket holed all my fixing points around the back, and now I'm just going to cut this corner out here to allow the Truma heating pipe to come through. I had thought about actually just placing a vent on here to vent it into the garage, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to run the cardboard pipe through here and worry about where that goes in the garage a little bit later. When I've got this fitted, that'll make more sense as to why I'm doing that. So I'm just going to cut this corner out here, and then carry on preparing this board, ready to actually get it in and fitted. Because this is buried right in the back of the cupboard and in the back of the garage, I'm going to be kind of nice and generous with this cut here, and not try and be too cocky and too tight and then it doesn't fit and I've got to take it back out again, because it's never going to be seen. It's never going to be seen. So yeah, I'm just taking the whole back corner out. That's what I'm doing. So what I tend to do when I got multiple things to do to to one section is, as I remember it, as I'm going through my coffee drinking thought process, is I just jot down on a bit of tape my list of things to remember to do, and bang it on the piece, and then as I'm doing it, hopefully all being well, I don't forget anything. So on my list here, I've got pocket holes done, Truma vent done, the door done. So I've got end cap and brackets left. Right, let's put the end cap on, because that will determine where the brackets go. Okay, there he is. So this is what I'm putting on the front edge, because I want to keep it as wide as possible for the door, rather than using that aluminium corner piece and all that jazz. So it's just that that profile. Right, I've got a tube of this Sikaflex EBT Plus on the go at the moment already, which I got from B&Q, and it says adhesive, sealant and filler. So I'm not really quite sure how that's particularly different to Sikaflex 522 in the big scheme of things, but anyway, it's super sticky stuff. So for the purpose of just holding this on, I'm not going to open a new Sikaflex 522 just for that. I'm going to use a bit of this, and I don't see why that shouldn't do the trick. These things are much easier to use in the summer when it's warm, because Christ, that's a hand cranker when it's cold. Right, let's give this another whirl. Right then, end cap firmly on, and now it's brackets. Well, door brackets that is, of course. So for anyone interested in the finer details of this, I'm using this type of hinge, which is called a flush hinge, and because I'm using it somewhat sort of back to front to how it's supposed to go, I've had to countersink it the opposite way round to how it is normally countersunk, to get my screws to recess, because if the screws don't recess, this is going to fit like a pig's ear. So I've just done that to all four, so now I'm going to get them screwed onto my my door panel. Before I do that though, of course, I just want to take a moment to consider the orientation of which way round I want this. So I got the better edge facing out for obvious reasons. At the top, like so. It's going to sit now like that. So just get my orientation on these hinges a second. So that's going to sit now like that. That hinge is going to go there. So now when I turn this over to fix the hinges, that's going to be on there like that. Right, marvellous. Right, I'll try and get these fairly evenly spaced out. I've just offered them on for a moment to get a flavour for what I want. But these are the little details in it that make for a nice finish, rather than it looking a mess and having all the brackets all at one end of the thing. So I'm going to come in 20 there. Right, let me screw these on. So I'm going to use my little bradawl to just pierce a sort of starting hole on these, and thank you to one of the viewers for reminding me that this is called a bradawl and not a pointy thing, although pointy thing, you know, kind of does the job as well, doesn't it? Really. Right, we need some real little baby screws for that. These are the smallest screws I've got in my collection, which are 3 by 12, I think, is what I've got there. It's a shame during some of that to have the police helicopter floating about, isn't it, with that all that racket and noise. You'd think they'd be off up to London, you know, spray foaming the Insulate Britain lot, really, wouldn't you? That'd be a better use of time. Okay, so now I've got my door fixed. I'm now putting the brackets on for the shelf for the top here. So I've measured up from the bottom to 165 for this particular task, and I'm going to pop these on, and then I'm going to do the same on the inside in the van, and then all being well, when I come to put the shelf in later, it should sit nice and level. Right, the daylight is kind of winning again now this afternoon, but I'm just about there really, so let me show you what we've done. So I've put my two scorver beams in, and now this sits up the side of the scorver beam. So I've tagged it and pocket holed and screwed all the way around, and yeah, I'm quite pleased actually. You've got quite a nice finish around here and down here, so that's, you know, kind of what we were after, so that's all good. My aluminium strip there is looking swanky, and let me go around the other side of the scorvers and we'll open the door and show you what we got on the inside. Right, here we go. So there it is. I've just put a little screw in there for now because that's where the latch is going to be, but I didn't have enough latches, so I've had to order a new one. But in order to open and close it, I've just popped a screw in where I'm going to be cutting out for that latch. But on the inside I did have some of those bits, the hooks, the catch, whatever it is, left over, so I've already fitted and mounted that, so now the door actually shuts against that, so that's all good. And if we open her up in here, and there's a bit of a job to see now because it's all dark, but my shelf bracket is actually kind of lined up quite well, and underneath there is the one for the wardrobe. So there's my little bit of tubing, so that should now click into place like so. There we go. Oh, I do believe I'm about a millimetre out on one side or the other. He's just a little bit aiming downhill, but hey, do you know what? I think I'll live with that. Oh, so there we go. That one's been for what is such a tiddly thin little cupboard, basically to house the ladder for the bunks and a couple of shirts in there. You know, that's oh, and the space up here is going to be for our TV we're never going to watch. So that's where that's going to live. So for such a tiddly little cupboard, that's been quite a fight today, but anyway, it's done. We got there, and you can see now why I put that piece of aluminium on the end, which covers the end of the furniture board, because you know, there wasn't any space at all to get one of these big corners in there. That just wasn't happening. So got that piece of aluminium in, and the hinges sit just down the side of it there, look. So I think kind of got away with that. Right, there it is. Right, so there we go. Hope you've enjoyed that video. We're working our way back towards the back door slowly, aren't we? The cupboard there is where am I? The cupboard there is in, and now it's time to work on the bed frames, so that will be coming up in the next one. Please remember to like and subscribe, blah 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 blah, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Actually, just as a little footnote to this video, I did have a comment in my video where I built the cabinet that the fridge goes in as to how the fridge actually fixes in and it doesn't fall out when you're driving along. So actually, let me just show you quickly. So come around the other side of the camera. So there's the old fridge cabinet up the side of the Scorvers. So if I open the door there, you can see in here we have a little cap there and a little cap there, and in behind there, I won't try and hook them out now, but in behind there is a space where a screw can go right the way through and screw into the side. And on this side you've got the same again. There's a screw there and a screw down the bottom. The only thing you have to be mindful of is to work out carefully what your depth is of the depth of the fridge and the depth of your furniture board, so that when you fire your screw in, it doesn't come right through and poke out the other side, because that look a bit crap. So careful planning of what screw to use, but actually it's quite simple. You just 4 screws, 1, 2 and 2 the other side, and that effectively is what holds it in.